Open a refrigerator and you will probably find vegetables wrapped in plastic, leftovers sealed in containers, and perhaps a piece of fruit that has already started to wrinkle. The refrigerator is cold, but cold alone does not guarantee freshness. Air circulation can slowly pull moisture from food. Lettuce loses its crispness. Strawberries soften. Meat changes color. Eventually, something that was perfectly edible ends up in the trash. A Japanese food technology company believes the solution may not be a better refrigerator. Instead, it is developing what it calls a third method of preservation, somewhere between ordinary refrigeration and freezing. The technology is called ZEROCO. It does not mean the refrigerator in your kitchen is about to disappear. ZEROCO is currently aimed mainly at farms, food markets, restaurants, warehouses, and distribution networks. But its approach could change how fresh food is stored before it ever reaches your home. To understand why, we first need to look at what a refrigerator actually does. Most modern refrigerators use a vapor compression system. A compressor circulates a refrigerant through a closed loop. As the refrigerant changes pressure and state, it absorbs heat from inside the cabinet and releases that heat into the surrounding room. This system is reliable, compact, and effective. That is why the same basic principle is used in household refrigerators, supermarket displays, refrigerated trucks, and industrial cold storage facilities. Cooling slows many of the biological and chemical processes that cause food to deteriorate. It also reduces the growth rate of many microorganisms. For food safety, household refrigerators are generally expected to remain at about 4 degrees Celsius or colder. But temperature is only one part of the preservation problem. Fresh produce is still alive after harvest. It continues to respire, lose water, and change internally. Fish and meat also undergo chemical and structural changes. Put these foods in air that is cold but relatively dry, and moisture begins moving from the food into the surrounding environment. Think of it like leaving a damp sponge in a cool ventilated room. The low temperature slows the drying process, but it does not stop it. Freezing can preserve food for much longer, but it introduces another problem. Water inside the food turns into ice crystals. If those crystals grow too large, they can damage cells. When the food is thawed, liquid escapes from the damaged structure. This is known as drip loss. That liquid can carry flavor, nutrients, and some of the texture that made the food appealing in the first place. Engineers have spent decades improving compressors, insulation, airflow, defrosting systems, and freezing speed. These improvements matter. Yet they do not completely solve the conflict between keeping food cold, preventing moisture loss, and avoiding freeze damage. ZEROCO began with a different question. What if food storage could reproduce the conditions found beneath deep snow? In snowy parts of Japan, vegetables and fruit have traditionally been stored in natural snow chambers. Beneath the snow, temperatures remain close to the freezing point of water, while the air stays extremely humid. The food becomes cold without necessarily freezing solid. At the same time, the humid environment reduces dehydration. ZEROCO attempts to reproduce this balance inside a controlled facility. According to the company and a Spheres Juluk report published by the government of Japan, the system maintains a temperature around 0 degrees Celsius while keeping humidity just below 100%. The goal is to approach the point where the air is nearly full of water vapor, without allowing uncontrolled condensation or frost to cover the room. That distinction is important. At low humidity, water escapes from the food and enters the air. At extremely high humidity, that moisture loss can be greatly reduced. The food is no longer sitting in an environment that constantly encourages it to dry out. Imagine 2 cups of water. One is placed in a dry room, and the other in a room where the air is already almost saturated with moisture. The first cup evaporates more quickly. The second loses water much more slowly. ZEROCO applies a similar idea to vegetables, fruit, fish, meat, and other perishables. Near zero temperatures slow respiration and deterioration. High humidity helps protect moisture, weight, and texture. Precise controls are used to keep the environment stable, because moving only slightly too warm, too cold, or too humid could create very different results. The company also uses the system as a step before freezing. By cooling food evenly and carefully before it enters a freezer, ZEROCO says it can reduce some of the cellular damage and drip loss associated with conventional freezing. The same controlled environment may also support gentler thawing. This could be valuable for foods that normally suffer dramatic quality loss after being frozen, including delicate seafood, prepared dishes, and foods containing several ingredients with different textures. The government of Japan has reported demonstrations involving produce and prepared Japanese foods. It also described strawberries that remained visually fresh after 2 months in ZEROCO storage, while strawberries kept under conventional refrigeration had deteriorated. These examples are promising, but they should be treated as reported demonstrations rather than universal guarantees. Different foods have different freezing points, moisture levels, microbial risks, and storage requirements. Still, the potential impact is larger than keeping a strawberry attractive. Farmers often need to sell highly perishable crops soon after harvest. Fishers face the same pressure with a fresh catch. If storage time can be extended without severely reducing quality, producers may have more control over when their products enter the market. Food could also spend more time in slower forms of transportation. Some products currently moved by air to preserve freshness might become suitable for sea transport, although that possibility still needs practical evaluation for each supply chain. Would you rather see this technology developed as a compact appliance for homes or installed first at farms and supermarkets? Choose one and tell us in the comments. ZEROCO is already beyond the stage of a tabletop laboratory sample. The company has established or tested large storage facilities in Japanese prefectures, including Hokkaido, Tokushima, and Kumamoto. However, that does not make it a direct replacement for the refrigerator in an ordinary kitchen. The installations are large, actively controlled environments. They still require cooling equipment, electricity, insulation, monitoring, maintenance, and strict sanitation. ZEROCO is not a passive box that keeps food cold without energy. The public information available also provides limited independent, peer-reviewed performance data. Most detailed claims currently come from the company, its partners, demonstrations, and promotional reports. Food safety remains another major consideration. Near-zero temperatures can slow microbial growth, but cold storage does not sterilize food. High humidity must also be managed carefully to avoid condensation, cross-contamination, and unwanted mold. Commercial success will depend on installation cost, operating efficiency, reliability, cleaning procedures, regulatory approval, and whether the longer storage life creates enough financial value to justify the system. The technology may also work better for some foods than others. A storage environment that benefits leafy vegetables may not be ideal for dry products, certain fruits, or foods that are vulnerable to chilling injury. So, refrigerators are not becoming obsolete tomorrow. But ZEROCO challenges one of the oldest assumptions in refrigeration, that lowering the temperature is the main objective. Its real innovation is treating temperature and moisture as a single preservation system. The refrigerator in your kitchen tries to keep food cold. This Japanese approach attempts to create an environment in which food loses less of what made it fresh in the first place. The future may not be a world without refrigerators. It may be a world where ordinary refrigeration is no longer the only option. Could controlling the air around our food become more important than simply making it colder? Share your view in the comments and subscribe for more technology that could reshape everyday life.